according to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you pronounce 3 times a certain dua, it says that I'm satisfied with Allah as Lord, with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the messenger, and with Islam Medina. So that means, and we say this at the beginning of every talk, and we say it, and you'll understand as we go along. We've been going through a serious struggle here for decades, since way out in California. And now we're going to try to explain that struggle to people that what we've been dealing with all the time, so that they might learn and acquire the knowledge and the process we've been doing. You know, I think most people have read some of the articles about psychological guerrilla warfare and strategic management under conditions of repression. Okay, these are stages that we have evolved through. Strategic management under conditions of repression mean that when we studied what was happening to Muslims, when we studied what we went through during the black movement, that one thing that was missing was longevity. Black people and their movement did not have longevity. When we studied movements overseas, in Africa, successful movements, and in China, one of the things that Chairman Mao Zedong talked about was not only longevity, but he talked about a protracted struggle. It would be a long-range struggle, that it wouldn't be like when we research our history and our movement, one of the main problems that we faced was one of longevity and the ability to acquire knowledge about struggle and survive long enough to learn how to implement it. What happened to us was 1961, 62, and 63 was freedom rides, right? 64 and 65 and 66, 65, we had to watch rebellion. Later on, we had Detroit, where it was physical rebellion in Detroit. And it was so serious that they ran out the police, the Detroit police, they ran out the National Guard. This is the only city in America where they had to employ the 82nd Airborne Division to take Detroit back. But 1 year later, you could come and pick over Detroit with a fly swatter. Well, what happened to Detroit? Detroit was a victim of Americanism. If you take the most rebellious cities in the United States during the 60s, you will find the most drug-infected cities, heroin-infected cities, other drug-infected cities during the late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. Example, if you were to take Oakland, California, Oakland is smaller than D.C. If you were to take Philadelphia, if you were to take New York, if you were to take Baltimore, every city, and Washington, D.C., if you would take the number 10 most rebellious cities in the United States in the 1960s, you would find the most drug-infested cities in the United States in the 1970s. Why was that? It's because the government exploitation movies. I was down in South America when Superfly came out, but I'll tell you, Superfly was more dangerous on the movement than anything else. Superfly, a movie, right? Showed big, pretty Cadillacs and everything, right? Showed Negroes dressed like this. Now, this was 69 or 70. This suit costs much as a house to buy a house right now, this suit right here. The whole regalia. This became the standard Negro style 3 years later. In the 1970s, think of the movies. What was they dressed like? Superfly and all of them. This is 3 years prior to Superfly. They was all dressed like this, right? They was imitating that. That's kind of serious. That's real clothes. That's not the Hollywood clothes. This suit would cost $20,000. This, I mean, it didn't cost that much, but that's how much I paid for it. Because Negroes have, now, this is the kind of cars they drive. Superfly had the big grill and all of that. This is a 1969 Brougham. Superfly drove a 1972 Eldorado. I'm trying to tell you, we was 3 years ahead of all the Negroes. Oakland was ahead in those days because Oakland, the Black Panther Party, Oakland was situated in a whole cul-de-sac. It was San Francisco on one side, all the hippies, Berkeley on the other side of Oakland, intelligentsia, right? And educated white rebellious, and Oakland sitting right, when you go from Oakland, you go right into Berkeley. All of that was sitting right there in the Bay Area. The white kids was listening to songs. When you go to San Francisco, what? Wear some flowers in your hair. Y'all might be a little young then. That's 1966. In other words, I'm talking about the movement in those days. But something happened to the movement. The Haight-Ashbury district, you can look all of this stuff up on your phone and see what it says, Haight-Ashbury. Haight-Ashbury was in the Golden Gate Park area was a haven for young white kids in those days. Just dreamy white kids, make love, not war. And they parents, they put psychedelics on them. And see, they knew what LSD did. Now y'all know or should know that they studied LSD, especially in the years like 61 and all that. They had people was jumping out of windows. They knew what it did. The white man is so mean, he put it on his own children. The other thing that's still around today, not only clear light and clear sunshine, orange sunshine, psychedelics. See, you can't get nothing done on psychedelics, right? Neither marijuana. During the 66, Negroes would sit up smoking weed and listen to the Ballad of the Bullets. Man, Malcolm is deep, but they niggas wouldn't move. They were sitting there high, right? The white man knew what he was doing. And you know what he killed his own children with? And is killing them now. Crystal meth. Because when I'd go to San Francisco and Berkeley on the other side, and all of that, see, Ollie Stanley and all of these people that come up with all that was right there in the Bay Area. You look up Ollie Stanley, he's the one that come up with LSD. LSD was legal right there in Berkeley. So that the white kids start tripping. All these orange-colored buses going all around. I'm telling you, that evil European would rather see his kids crazy than creating trouble because he figured we stole this thing from Indians and worked niggas to death. We're not putting up with all this make love, not war. Hell, we make all of our money on war. Isn't that right? What you mean make love and not war? Who would be against that except a psychopath, right? But they daddy and them, they didn't know. And if you think I'm lying, remember Kent State. Does anybody remember Kent State? Does anybody remember the boy laying there blown away and the girl, white girl is with that look? Why? What is, they couldn't understand. Why? What is it that we're doing that you got to kill us? They couldn't understand it. They said that, what's the problem? Okay, anyway, we'll keep on. So we were a part of the movement then, but it was black orientated. We're right there in Oakland. In fact, our office, our main house in East Oakland was right in back of Black Panther headquarters, which was in the front. Our best customer was always the party, and everybody it was a mixture between us and them. And we got along fine. That's why when I left the United States, after all them cases, I went to Algeria, where the Black Panther Party was. Anyway, style setting. Just like these were style settings over 50 years ago, Masjid al-Islam is a style setter now. Masjid al-Islam, and I'm going to jump to that, and we're going to need the public help to do that. We have been the style setters, and what we mean to say is nobody is standing up for our people that need our assistance now. This is Imam Jamil Al-Amin. This is when his son was just a little guy. Now he's full grown, been grown for years, over 30, 40 years. He might be in his 40s now. But anyway, all the movement was dead at that time, in the early 70s. But only one person made the proper transition. H. Rap Brown transcended to Imam Jamil Al-Amin. That's why he's in prison now. And he's in prison now because he didn't have the ability. Yeah, so you got the things right there that's in the, yeah, you got them. Yeah, right. Okay. Walaikum salam. All right. Anyway, let me get back my train of thought. We are, and we always have been, a part of revolution, but we have been an evolving movement, evolving group, and an evolving organization. So I could show you some of our old flyers from, this is 1983, from Masjid al-Islam, Islam, the true liberation. And it says, liberation through faith, Iman, liberation through sacrifice and discipline and work. In 83, there was still remnants of people talking about black power and black liberation. And we was telling them about Hurriyat. Hurriyat, you know, Hurriya. You remember the old saying, Uhuru. Like, well, Uhuru, how will I put it? The Swahili is about 50% Arabic and 50% Bantu. So the term Uhuru, which means freedom and liberation in Swahili, that was the battle cry in those days, comes from the Arabic word Hurriyat. Let's look it up. Hurriyat. Liberation, freedom, and all that, but the Arabic has other connotations. It means to be freed and liberated from anything that might be holding you down or preventing you from reaching your full potential. Hurriyat. And so the black liberationists didn't even know what they were saying. Like even the people up the street from us, big organization, they called it Uhuru House. So they would say Uhuru, I would say Uhuru right back, not Salam. Why? Because I was giving them they didn't even know where it come from. Freedom, liberation, justice, right? So they would say, even on the TV, what was the lieutenant's name on Star Trek? Lieutenant Uhuru. I mean, they just, the white folks, you got to watch them. They try to get in on everything. All right. But so our duty in those days was to try to explain what true freedom and liberation was. That's why we have Islam, true liberation. Liberation through faith, not black power. Liberation through Iman, liberation through sacrifice and discipline. And when you study the black movement, these are the things that they were missing. The black movement was easy to run crazy and defeat. To defeat, it was easy. Why? There was no discipline. I remember one of the sisters came to pick up one of the black leaders in Oakland one day for a demonstration. She knocked on the door, the Negro pulled her inside, and he chased her around the house for over half an hour to have sex. And he's supposed to be going to a liberation, right? And all the sisters were harnessed. The sisters was harnessed as sex tools. The niggas kept the sisters so busy they couldn't liberate nobody. That was because we didn't understand revolution. What did the last poet say? Niggas are scared of revolution. Y'all remember the last poet? Niggas are scared of